Hi. Welcome, everyone, to the Tuesday recording, the live recording of another episode of the Black Tower Podcast.
We are here. It's another Black Tower Podcast bit of tainty goodness.
Indeed.
I really hope that everybody just listening to audio thinks you just started pissing.
That
might be the most
Deadpool when he's like, "Are you peeing right now?" That's your peeing face.
I also really
You're
like
pissing right now, aren't you? Yeah, you're pissing. I'm on it.
Okay.
I also love the Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the pee meter.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh
Fantastic.
yeah. Classic Chris Evans.
I have to
before he was the
pee
man
on to her.
But also already the man. That's the decision we must all make, to pee or not to pee. That is the question. The answer is always no, unless you want to do 30 plus years in prison.
I mean,
well, it also depends on who she is. Because if you're R. Kelly, you made a bad choice.
I'm getting a wheel of time.
Sorry. Phone went off.
Josh, how dare you?
It sounds like somebody's getting a Wheel of Time tattoo.
It was Critter, actually.
Oh,
really?
It was one of Critter's TikTok. She's getting a Wheel of Time tattoo. So there you go. There's the shout out tonight for
About
Critter
time.
XD.
You bandwagoners.
Gosh, Critter.
He says as he adjusts his hair and shows off his sleeve.
Hit me up when you get a sleeve. No. Filthy casuals. No, just kidding.
I told you what I'm doing for mine, right? How I'm incorporating. So I've got my Nordic tattoo over here. Got Odin, his raven.
I don't know how that's going to work. There's definitely no
wolves.
Nordic inspiration in the Wheel of Time.
And then, I know, right? And then the tree of life holding the 9 realms. And then it's going to come down. These are going to be the roots of the tree. And then the dragon, Jormungandr, who circles the tree, the roots of the tree of life. It's going to be the Ouroboros dragon from the show. That's how I'm going to.
And in his eye is going to be a QR code for blacktowerpod.com.
That's right. And
There
that's
you
going to be on the, or I could put that in like the tree right there. Like, hey, follow our podcast.
That's what is that what we should do as our Black Tower tattoo? Is everyone should just get a QR code?
That's going to be awkward because I have a QR code on my taint hole. So, and it is Black Tower Pod.
You have a hole in your taint?
Well, that means that just means that Josh and I have to get the same QR code on our taint.
Well, in the words of 50 Cent, bend over and touch your toes.
All
I
right.
don't remember the rest of the song.
Ink me.
Lil Jon got the way to make your booty go.
Was that like a cigar sniff? What the fuck? What just happened?
So welcome to the Black Tower Podcast. If you want to check up on all things good, you got to go to blacktowerpod.com.
And the best way to get to blacktowerpod.com is to find the QR code on one of our taints and scan it into your phone.
Next time you're at JordanCon, come up and say, I need your taint, and we'll present you with a QR code.
Do you know what I
A
need?
complimentary signing of a coin purse.
Do you know
Next time at JordanCon, we're going to have I tasted the taint at JordanCon. We'll do I've scanned the taint at JordanCon.
I need to have.
Well, you know, Rob, you say you'll pass, but the majority of the word pass is ass. So I think we're in good company.
BlackTowerPod.com. You need to go there to see pictures from our events. You need to go there for updates on episodes. You need to go there for links to all our social medias. And this is a big one. You need to go there for updates on the Gathering Madness. That's right. We've got information coming forth for the Gathering Madness, October 15th and 16th. You got to be there. You got to be there. If you're not there, it's okay. We still love you. But we are going to have all your favorite events from past Gathering Madnesses. Watt Tales, Taste the Taint. It's going to be amazing. Drunk Splaining. And
Drunk Splaining is my favorite.
A couple
Just me, Andrew, passed out in the corner.
special things where we might have some special guests. You never know. You never know. We're going to be in LA this year. There's all kinds
We're
of
gonna be
comedy
in
celebrities live in
Anaheim
LA.
this year. Stop lying to people.
Oh God, Daniel.
We're gonna
It's
be in
all
Orange
California to
County.
me.
It's all California. We're
Oh,
gonna
do
go
we get to see
California
the
this year.
Orange County Choppers? Do we get to see the Choppers from the Orange County TV show? The Orange County Choppers?
Are you Swedish
Where are you
right
from
now?
right
What is?
Yeah, what's happening? I don't know.
I don't know where that accent came from. I just did it. Don't ask why. Just go with it.
So yeah, but anyway, blacktarpod.com. It's a great place to go. It also has a link to our lovely show sponsor, the Crystal Barista. If you're interested in any kind of rocks, minerals, gems, rock mineral gem themed subscription boxes, or rock mineral gem geology themed classes online, go there, check it out. Anything you want with rocks, gems, minerals, geology, etc., etc., etc.
And half of the fun from going on any sort of the rock hounding trips, finding rocks, or sitting through an Arraytopedia geology session, which is incredibly fun to listen to, is identifying the rocks and the minerals and the gemstones. So taking a lesson from our geologically inclined brethren, let's introduce ourselves. I, returning from a 2-week hiatus, am your Bajan Mahale, Andrew.
Hey, Bajan, hey.
I'm back.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I trust your official Black Tower Pod business
went off without a hitch.
Or were that a 5?
No, I got made boss while I was on hiatus.
Sucker,
Right.
you got promoted.
I'm the boss of my job now, and now I have to work my way through literally 1,000 work orders. So
gross.
Yeah, I got sent to the IT crowd basement IT department of the Black Tower, and this is there's no storms in the basement, and it's bullshit. All right.
You know what? You know what happens in the basement of the Black Tower?
I mean battles. There's no battles in the basement. I mistranslated my own title. My bad.
You get so many people just coming down for IT support, and most of them you're like, have you tried letting go of Sidene and grabbing a hold of it?
Have you tried turning Sidene off and back on? The fastest way to solve the problem, yes. I like it. But anyway, I'm not the only one of us here.
When is the last time you let go of Sidene? When is it? 4 days ago. Okay, cool. Turn it off and turn it back on again.
Have you tried uninstalling System Tank 32? Or, like it's much a problem now, have you tried moving away from JavaScript? The real taint.
JavaScript.
Java.
JavaScript.
Responsible for the death of over 8 billion machines.
All right, guys, before we go too far down this rabbit hole of IT, my name is Daniel. I'm the Avencon Mahale, and I don't have to deal with any of that shit.
Fuck you!
You know what I do have to deal with? All of the Ashaman who think they can sing and come to join our ranks, and they're the William Hungs of the fucking Black Tower, and you're just like, get the hell out of here.
I did not finally come back to be insulted, all right, sir?
And last and definitely least, I am Josh, your Sorovan Mahale. I am one.
More Shadi's not here.
Has been where Daniel has been.
Shit. More Shadi, more like more shady. Oh.
And I am one who has been where Andrew has been, with an abundance of responsibilities. And I have turned from both
abundance
paths.
Of bullshit is what it is.
And now I have the best balance in my current position.
No,
so
he
I
doesn't.
Will say,
what?
He absolutely.
What motherfucker sat there and was like,
happy.
"Congratulations on." No, here's the worst part: the exact same person who sent me all these tickets was the exact same person who was like, "Oh, we're surprised you didn't apply for the position that my boss applied for, or my old boss, that she now works, resulting in me being the boss." And now they sent me. Yeah, luckily, there's not like a timetable on them because they're all just machines being canceled and sent back. But It's like I've literally been the full-on official boss for 2 days, and I'm like, why?
And I already hate everything.
I looked
okay,
at the guy that's going to be
Actually-
the number 2, and I was like, "Hey, man, I quit. This is your show now. Have fun." And he was
Yeah.
like, "If you quit, I'm quitting immediately after." He's like, "Because I have no clue what to do."
That's fair. Actually, I do want to clarify something. Earlier, I gave Josh shit for not actually having a very good life-work balance. And it's actually not really true that Josh doesn't have a good work-life balance. He actually has a relatively good work-life balance. What he doesn't have is a life-life balance because he does too many hobbies. And therefore...
hey, I finally got the dune buggy running.
Yeah?
Yeah,
you-
so
yeah,
if you
I
guys
saw the Snapchats.
on my I sent out some Snapchats on my personal Instagram. I have just a small reel of me like buzzing by on it. And yeah, we got the dune buggy running. So the dune buggy's up. Well, kind of. It's like at like 60%. We still got some more work.
I'm not gonna lie. When I first one of the Snapchats you sent was just like a video of the engine running, and like I was like half asleep, and I'm like, "Fucking car sounds like shit, dude." Like, and then I saw the next one, and it was like the buggy, and I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense." All right, never mind.
It's the dune buggy.
It sounds great for a buggy, terrible for a car. Like,
So yeah,
basically.
So, thanks for calling
All
me
right,
out
guys.
on my ADD of hobbies there, Daniel. Love you too.
You're
buddy.
welcome. Anytime. You're the best.
All right, so
I'll
let's
take
talk about Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time.
Is that
Wheel
what we're
of
doing?
Time. Wheel of Time. But before
did you
we talk
got
about
like you
Wheel of
take 2
Time-
weeks off of talking about Wheel of Time, and you suddenly are just like, "Do I remember anything about the Wheel of Time?"
I don't even
terrible.
know what that is.
I don't recommend
the-
it, guys. Don't do it.
Wheel of what?
The wheel in the sky.
The
keeps
Wheel
on
of
burning.
Tim.
Journey. I love it. Give me more Steve Perry. We need more
Okay.
Steve Perry. Is
I don't
Steve
know what I'll
Perry
do
on
tomorrow.
Cameo? Is Steve Perry on Cameo? We should get him to do a spoiler warning for us.
I don't know. Is Kay Alexander still available in Cameo?
I'm pulling up Cameo right now.
All right, cool. So while they pull up Cameo, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 things. Number one, I want to thank all of the patrons who are currently listening to us live and in person here on Tuesday. You are part of what makes the wheel or the
Joe
the
Gambino.
cogs at the Black Tower run smoothly and as well as they possibly can. That being said, or part of that thank you, is that we actually have 3 patrons that we want to go ahead and shout out in today's episode that we either haven't done yet or at the very least can't remember doing. So it's going to happen for the first time or maybe the second. I'm just going to be honest with you. We do try to tell you guys the truth every time, and this is that.
This does sound like a disclaimer from my sex life. What the fuck's going on here?
Ooh, Leslie
What?
Jordan has a cameo.
Hey, Josh, in here.
Sorry. I'm down a rabbit hole now. You guys lost me.
In here. We just talked about your ADHD. Let's get it back here. So the first one that we want to go ahead and welcome is Dino. They joined about a month ago, which is great. We're glad to have you. They are in at the family member tier. Then we have Flamingo Sedai, who I actually have seen on a couple of the episodes already listening. And they're there
He's
right
listening
now.
now.
So, hey,
Yeah.
buddy.
What up?
Nice to see you. Nice to have you in here. They are in at the dedicated tier. No, soldier tier. Soldier tier. I remember what our tiers are. We've changed them a few times, guys. Give me some slack. But yeah, welcome. You guys are awesome. And then last we have First Age Birgitta coming in at the dedicated tier. So just to let you guys know, anyone who's actually coming in at the dedicated tier or above at this juncture, I'm the guy with the coins and I'm not home right now. So we may be able to figure out something while I'm on the road, but with Andrew changing jobs and me being on the road and Josh never being able to pay attention to something for more than 35 seconds, it is going to take us a little bit longer to go ahead and get your stuff out to you. I promise it will be there. I promise it will be there. We will absolutely get your stuff out to you. Just be a little bit patient with us. There's a lot going on.
That being said, as of yesterday, as we're recording, that is the 15th of August, stickers for August went out. If you are soldier tier or higher, your stickers are en route. If you do not get a sticker or you're like, wait, I couldn't see the live recording channel, or hey, some of the Patreon stuff I thought I should be able to see, I can't see. Probably check your email. Maybe the spam folder. Patrons probably sent you some emails about, hey, your payment didn't go through. Yeah, they're trying to reach you to figure that out. If you can't do it, we would much rather
really trying to reach you to talk about your Patreon's extended warranty.
Yeah. If something happens and you have to step away from Patreon, or you can no longer support us on Patreon, that's absolutely fine. We hold no grudges. There's not like a running list of people that cancel, that cancel or whatever. By all means, feel free to cancel as you need. But if it just declines, I think you have about 3 months before Patreon just takes you out of the roster. So there's that. So if you feel like you should be getting benefits and you're not seeing benefits, check there first and make sure you're active on Patreon. If you are active on Patreon and you're not getting the stuff you should have gotten, hit one of us up, and we will rectify the situation as soon as.
Yes, we are not the VA. If you are supposed to be getting benefits and you're not, and you contact us, we will do something about that in a timely manner.
Indeed.
Nothing? Really? All right, cool.
Fucking
VA.
VA.
I'm there with you.
I make my one military joke, and neither of you,
what?
are on board.
No, I heard it. I was
fuck you.
I was just trying to be calm inside.
You can get Bib Fortuna to do a cameo. Can you imagine? He'd be like, and then you'd be like, of course, that means spoilers for the week.
I feel like we've lost Josh for the entire episode.
We really have, and I wasn't over it, but now I'm starting to be.
Let's do this. Let's chew into it. Let's bite in.
All right, let's do what are we talking about today? Or spoiler warning first. Which one?
The before times.
And this is definitely going to be full spoilers. So,
well, then it's going to be like,
well, we're going to do your spoiler warning.
It's going to be full spoiler warnings.
Okay.
Now, the spoiler warning. It's doing now. Here you go.
This is your official spoiler warning. This episode contains spoilers for all 14 books and the prequel. If you are still listening and you haven't read all these, you want to be spoiled, don't you? You crave it. Getting spoiled without putting in the work? Well, get ready. Here it comes.
Madam.
That's the Beauregard. I do declare you're giving me the vapors.
So we definitely wanted to go ahead and put out a full spoiler warning for this particular one, because I can guarantee that we're going to say some stuff. But if any of you guys who are listening want to let anybody who hasn't finished the books know how much spoiler we're actually doing after you've listened to the episode, that'd be great, because I can't guarantee that this is actually going to be that bad, because it is theory-esque, but I'm sure that we're going to have to, talk about some things that are not said until later in the books to explain why we think things that we do about the before times.
No, that's a good point. I did say earlier, because Carrie, for those of you who don't know, we keep talking about Carrie. Carrie's super awesome. She's one of our patrons, and she hasn't made it through the full brunt of the books yet. And she comes in for our intros, and she's a sunbeam of pure energy and delightfulness.
Uh-huh.
And then we're like, spoilers, and she's like, well, fuck you guys.
Well, all right, cool. Here's a nugget from the life of Andrew. My first serious girlfriend's name was Carrie. Slightly different because it was Kerri, but kind of close.
Different Carrie, though.
But did
Different
she
Carrie.
go into the gym one day,
No,
get
that's
bullied, and murder a bunch of people?
No, it started with a
her
K, not a
telepathy
C.
yeah, that's a
powers.
Carri.
Telekinesis.
If she had powers of
Pyrokinesis.
telepathy, like as I knew her
Telekinesis.
after high school, she probably would have. Yeah, that one.
Okay, so let's ask this question there. If we're talking about the before times,
Yes.
There's no
are
such
we
thing.
talking about before
It is a fallacious title.
the third age? Are we
It's
talking about
actually not.
before-
No. We're talking about before time. That's what's going on today. One of the reasons that
so
we
this is
got
a
into this
creation
was
story.
But
we
there's
kind
an
of-
inherent fallacy in saying before time, because before can only happen in the scope of time.
Mm,
There cannot be a before time as measured with time. To say it happened
on the
before time,
Same,
You are measuring it
not
with
on the
time.
same metric. Not on the same metric, though.
right.
But
You
it can't
can
be
just
before
say before
its time.
time
Before
existed,
this iteration
before
of
we
time.
actually could measure time at all.
I mean, it would just be outside of time.
Uh-huh.
Outside
Exactly.
time.
That is
It's
the
outside
answer.
time.
That's true. So
That is
this-
like the
title
one
of this
metaphysical
episode
thing
could
I can be a snobbish asshole on about
the
this,
before time,
because it is technically
the
just
after
outside
times,
of time.
and the outside times, all at once. Welcome
So,
to
yeah.
the Black Tower discussion of quantum physics.
But in
Kind
the
of.
Wheel of Time, it is also the after time,
Sure. Maybe.
because it's not
kind
in
of.
time, but time is
Depends.
also cyclical, so it comes
Yes.
before and after.
Yep. Well, and that is actually. Oh, this is another question there. Fuck, we've already hit on a really metaphysical
broke
question
Daniel
because
already.
Andrew just said that time is cyclical, therefore the before time is also the after time, which is just all outside time. But if it's actually outside time, then it might not actually be cyclical. Because if time is cyclical and it's outside of time, then it might not be. And my brain just exploded.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
it's kind
that's-
of like the idea of like, I don't know how much of an accepted theory of the expansion of the universe or the universal creation theory that it still applies to. But I remember going through school, and one of the theories being that right now the universe is going through infinite expansion, and at some theoretical point in the future, the universe will cease to expand. That outward momentum will be finally counteracted by the gravity of other celestial bodies, and everything will do a universal collapse back down into a singularity, resulting in what ultimately becomes the particle.
The
that
name of the
results in
theory
Big
is
Bang
the Big
again.
Crunch. Yes.
That one, yeah.
Big Crunch.
It's a Big Bang inevitably
Big Crunch.
followed by a Big Crunch, followed by a Big Bang, followed by a Big Crunch. Because if it went like that, it would answer the question of where did the nothing come from to become the something?
But then again,
Sort of.
where was the
What?
origination?
I mean, well, kind of. Okay, fair.
Exactly.
of existence.
Yeah.
Shut up, Daniel. You're right, but shut up.
No.
Yeah.
We're agreeing. It's just also like that just
But I mean,
means that you have
there's-
to go further back for the actual ultimate question of where did it come from.
Well, then you also
But
have like the
I am
fundamental
definitely
problem.
willing to be here, sitting here, being like, maybe we've just been through a few Big Bangs and Big Crunches before, and so.
Oh, I feel like I've been through both simultaneously. I mean, so you have the logical fallacy of like saying that something happened first whenever what you're talking about is necessarily outside of time.
Yes.
Because a universe in a state that it would have to be immediately. We're going to acknowledge the logical the fallacy of the statement, but preceding the Big Bang would necessarily be outside of space time because it would create its own space time by its density, but with nothing outside of it to experience space or time. Space and time, by lack of observation and interaction, therefore do not exist. So it's not until the Big Bang occurs and there
Correct.
are other objects to experience
So-
space-time that things
So
exist.
let's do this.
My
because
head
this is-
hurts. Anybody else smell
Oh.
copper?
So this is Wheel of Time centric. And as we understand from the Wheel of Time and from what Robert Jordan has said about the understanding of things in the Wheel of Time, and it is widely accepted that time is cyclical, which
Yep.
is a belief that is held by some ancient cultures, is all things that happen will happen again. And that's what happens, is we as a people are just kind of rolling around in this big wheel, and that's what it
Rolling
is.
down
You
the
come
river.
around to the place where you once were, and that's how life is. And so but it's interesting that he kind of peeks around that a little bit, because even and they did this more in the show, they leaned into it more in the TV show, and I'm going to reference it because I feel like it's very valid here. But Rand asks Tam in the show, how long does it take for the wheel to spin your soul back out? Tam says, I wish I knew, but we can, we hopefully we learn, maybe there's a reason you don't know your past lives, but hopefully what this is the wheel gives us a chance. I'm paraphrasing, right? Stop. But hopefully the wheel gives us a chance to do a little bit better this time. And Illa says the same thing. I don't fight for myself. I don't fight for my kids. I don't fight for my grandkids. I fight for my granddaughter who was murdered. And I hope that I create a better place so that when the wheel comes back around, hopefully she gets a better chance to live.
Episode idea for
Now-
the future. How the legacy of the Jin Il and the Tinkers are a microcosm of their own theology coming to fruition. Write that
See
down
that
somewhere where we
one
can
more-
remember.
I'm working on it.
Wait,
I'm
hold on.
actually
That was
doing
big
it
words.
right
That
now.
was-
So
Not
basically,
in
how
words. We're not
how the Jin
terminology
Il
here.
and the Tinkers ultimately stemming from the Jin Il, are like a microcosm example of their the theology of the way of the leaf coming to fruition, like within their own sphere, like of life.
Dude, this okay. I want, but
Guys, we're planning things for season 4, by the way. Now, just so you know.
Oh yeah.
no. So where I was going with that though is you've got Robert Jordan who talks about a world, a universe in which time is cyclical, and everything that happens, everything that changes. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Everything that comes around goes around, etc., etc., etc. But that doesn't stop them talking about the creator imprisoning the Dark One at the moment of creation.
Just a condom, really, a cosmic condom.
How? Where?
Trojan man.
Now,
That's how.
where is a linear question, right? It's a time question. Where on the timeline does that happen if there is no timeline?
I mean, it's
And
outside of space time.
we get a taste of, you know what? Good call on the spoilers, because we get a taste of that in A Memory of Light when Rand steps outside of the pattern and observes the whole of the Wheel of Time, the pattern of ages,
I mean,
And
so here's. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. My bad.
No. I was just going to say. So here. I believe, if I understand correctly, what we're wanting to get to is what is happening outside the pattern of ages, and what was the thing that happened to begin the pattern weaving in the first place.
Well, so I was actually, when I actually wrote this down, it was partially off of a discussion that we were having with, or around Ishamael, which is where we just dipped our toes into this giant metaphysics pool. And this particular one was actually about and give me some time here because this is going to take just a little while.
This whole episode is going to be like this.
Sure, but there are two prevailing fears. Number one is that the creator created all of what we know as creation, and in doing so, they actually tapped into or used or whatever so much power that they destroyed themselves in the making of the pattern and then became the Dark One, or ended up having their shadow sort of come into creation as the Dark One, or something along those lines.
He used all of his goodness to make the world, and all that left was darkness.
The other one is that the creator and the Dark One have actually always been outside of time together. And the creator and the Dark One both effectively made creation. But it's this effectively the same as free will just being injected, that, the angels and the demons are at war with each other, but they can't actually fight directly with each other with humans. So they have to do things through humans by tempting them or going after their morality or whatever. So again, this theory is more the creator is relatively benevolent, the Dark One is relatively malicious, but neither of them is actually necessarily allowed to touch the pattern. Oh wait, except the Dark One does it all the time. But again, there's just an interesting thing about this that, it's... So really the question here was, I wanted your guys' thoughts, as well as, maybe our patrons and things like that, about, do you subscribe to one of those theories about what was around beforehand and how it came to be? Do you have another theory about what was beforehand and how it came to be? And again, I want the whole thing. I'm looking for not just, the creator was the only one at the beginning. I want to know then how the Dark One came to be, how the creator ended up, or how creation ended up with the Dark One in the first place. Or if there was both, why didn't the creator block the Dark One from doing as much, or why don't we see as much of the creator? Or again, what are your theories here? What are your thoughts here? And I want to hear it sort of from start to finish, effectively when time starts. What's the situation at the very beginning? What's the situation at the beginning of time?
So, if we're going to look at time doesn't start until the moment of creation.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You have to create an entity to exist within space-time to experience time.
Yep.
Which space does create time by its mere existence. They have to be able to experience space and time for there to be a time there. It's one of those weird observation principle things.
Mm-hmm. I love it so much.
There's this interesting thing with the ideas between the Dark One and the Creator. Because if you're going to imprison a cosmic deity, I guess, of sorts, outside of space-time, they both have to necessarily have their own identifiable makeup and energy that occupies space to be segmented away, like the Dark One does. That's an absolute necessity. You have to be able to compartmentalize something in its own bubble outside of space-time. And the only way to compartmentalize something is for it to exist. It doesn't have to exist within space-time necessarily, just like the creator doesn't. This is a very, as we know, Robert Jordan coming from the Southeast United States, is a very God argument, right?
Sure.
God,
right.
If God exists, he necessarily exists outside of space-time, kind of thing.
Right.
But what throws a wrench in the whole thing is you now have this introduction that for the true power to exist, the Dark One also has to have their own, at least nigh limitless supply of power for the true power to exist alongside the true source. Unless it's just a filter of the true source through the Dark One, where he's acting as a blocking or basically like the the biggest Sa'angreal to ever exist. I just got myself in my own like mental kind of wraparound where I'm like, so how do you rationalize that? I mean, if it's just a filter, then there's a zero advantage to using the true power, especially after Saidin is cleansed. There's zero advantage if it's just a true filter, unless he acts like a link between Saidin and Saidar in and of itself and combines them into a true power, true source that's innately combined, and that's why neither side can fully sense it, because that doesn't make any sense. It feels like they would be able to sense like part of it or feel that something's going on. It's really weird.
Well, again, except that if it's being filtered through the Dark One, presumably he would then have some kind of control over it and could be masking it from people.
True.
Because
I'd
again,
like
the
to
Dark
But then,
One
but then he would be able to just
is
innately stop it if
incredibly
anybody used it
powerful.
against him. Like the second Rand started to use it against him, he could innately just cut it off. So I don't think that's it. Maybe I don't get it. I mean, to me, it leads credence to the idea that maybe the creator, in the process of creation, turned himself into the force that spins the wheel, and because they did that, you now have the Dark One, who would be the potential counterpoint to that force that like cosmically was intended to fight against each other to turn the wheel, maybe, or whatever.
So
Then the Dark One's just a counterpoint to that power.
so my understanding, when you talk about the Dark One and the creator, earlier Daniel, you had said that the creator is universally accepted as benevolent. The Dark One is universally accepted as being somewhat malevolent or malicious. I would actually change the syntax there for one very important reason. I would say that they're more representative of probably the oldest primordial forces of order and chaos. You have one force that seeks to take gases and dust and spin it together into a nice little beautiful ball and make it into a sun or a planet or something other. Then you have another force of chaos that chooses to explode those planetary bodies into random gas and dust. In the Wheel of Time, you have the creator, who is an embodiment of the force of order. You have the Dark One, who is an embodiment of the force of chaos. Now they oppose each other, right? So they work against each other, which spins the Wheel of Time. Now, the Wheel of Time spinning, a result of that, as I understand it, is the ability to touch the one power and be able to channel, right? People have that. So that's what I think offers. That's why I think there's a purity in being able to channel the one power, because Saidin and Saidar are natural products of the turning of the Wheel of Time. How that works, oh,
they create the turning of the Wheel of Time.
Right? Yes, yeah. Order and chaos.
Because that would imply then that Saidin or Saidar means creator, and whichever one means creator, the other one means the Dark One. Because the true source, or the one power, is created by the counterflow against each other of Saidin and Saidar. That's what creates the turning of the wheel.
Right.
It's not the creator going against the true power that is creating the force for the wheel to turn.
Right.
So what I was getting at is, if you have the true source, and then you have another version of power from the Dark One, which I think becomes a necessity, because you have an entity that is for a period of time exiled from all space and time with their own version of power. That one is not strong enough by its own to immediately overcome its sealing away, like them being sealed away. But definitely is responsible for its seal over time, breaking down at least to the point of it leaking out to let people know, hey, there's something else there. Now, I don't know if that's them just pointing a Hubble telescope somewhere and being like, there's a void
Right.
there. Let's figure out what's there because we can't see anything. Or if they're actually sensing power. I think like in the series, we're told that like they sense that there's something there, and they think that
Right.
men and women can both use that power.
One of the reasons I choose to use these particular words is, how do you imprison the Dark One? If you look at them as opposing forces of order and chaos, the creator then, as the embodiment of order, says, I will organize order around you and limit your ability to cause chaos. Therefore, anything the Dark One tries to do is then limited to the creator's best ability to, influences upon the earth or the world as we know it. The problem then becomes, because the Dark One's always got influence on the world. We know this. Even at the height of civilization, there's still these there are still people who take issues. It's just like in real life. You can have a totally beautiful, pure, perfect moment, and then crazy uncle, what's his butt, comes in and has to make it about him somehow. I don't know. But when Mirren and some other people went drilling the bore to try and find the new whatever, they allowed the Dark One a small pinhole in that quote unquote air quotes prison of order. They allowed the Dark One to have just a little bit of direct touch, direct access to inflict chaos upon the world. Now we have the Blight. Now we have different influences from the Dark One that is mostly manifested in the Blight and in the corruption of people and in
Was it a
the
wormhole?
protection of the Forsaken from different maladies and ailments.
Was their drilling into the board just a wormhole? This theoretical wormhole
Absolutely.
that drills through space-time to connect different points in space-time.
I would
Was
say
it
no.
a wormhole gone? Like a ride?
I would say no. I'd say it's something different than a wormhole, because a wormhole goes from one, theoretically speaking, would go from one place in space-time to another place in space-time with a very small amount of time between the two places, between the two spaces. This is a place from one space-time outside the realm of space-time. I don't know what you'd call that. I would call that a tear or a bore in the pattern of space-time.
So how do we resolve the question of how does something that exists within space-time reach and touch anything that even surrounds space-time? I guess the easy answer is the seal, or the prison for the Dark One, by being a prison by nature, must border space-time.
Yes.
So it's right at the edge of what is and what isn't. So it makes sense that it could be touched in that manner.
This is where our human brains kind of get lost, right? Because we don't really have a good understanding of the fourth dimension of time. We don't really have a good understanding of what it means to be infinite. We can't, because to say that something is outside of space-time is to say that something has always existed, and then the second we say, yeah, but where, we've already lost the plot. When the second we say when, we've already lost the plot. Humans, we do not do well with infinite concepts, because even if you say an infinite amount of money, you're still starting from $1 and going to infinite amount of money, and it's still growing from a singularity, a singular point. And this is
like the universe.
That's right. So you have an issue here with infinity that we as humans have a difficult time sort of getting our heads around. We can't really fathom what it means to be infinite or what it means to exist in an infinite state.
Well, this is also one of the things where I think this is one of the most interesting kinds of conversations we can have. And I really hope that none of us decide to be the betrayer of hope when we try to wrap our brains around this, because this is very philosophical and very.
We discussed this last week, Daniel.
Pick me. I wasn't here, so pick me.
But again, it's really a question of, or one of the things that's interesting to me is the human brain is what's trying to make sense of this situation that is almost by definition out of the ability for the human brain to understand. And so again, when we say as humans, like, okay, well, but there's a fallacy here, because if this is actually outside of our understanding of time and space and physicality, then how do people touch what's outside of our understanding of space, time, and physicality? And the answer is, it's only a fallacy, or not it's only a fallacy. It could actually be a fallacy. It could. It absolutely has the potential to not work. It has the potential to be impossible. But it also has the potential to not be impossible. We just don't understand it yet, which is why we're standing here with the human brain going, it doesn't track with our understanding of how the world works or the universe works or how time works or whatever. Therefore, it must be impossible. Not necessarily. Because just because it doesn't track with those things of what we understand to be true does not make it impossible. It just makes us unable to understand it.
Well, because you have the thing, the laws of space, time, physics, momentum, this only exists in, these things only track inside the sphere in which they're created. They're only laws inside the sphere in which they apply.
Correct.
The laws of physics, the laws of space-time, all of this, they don't, the way that the human brain has conceptualized and formulated what we know, in quotation marks, about the universe and the world, only works in our sphere of influence. Because we found out remarkable things. I mean, human beings used to know beyond a shadow of a doubt. And this is kind of going back to a bit of a discussion in the live chat with, religion used to be the foundation of knowledge, which for our modern informed age is relatively hilarious. Mankind used to know that the earth was, flat in the center of the universe. And then mankind knew that the earth was round, which wound up being true. Everything mankind has ever known about the way the world works and interacts and what can exist and can't exist has generally throughout history been consistently challenged. Mankind knew that there were only 3 states of matter. There's only a solid, a liquid, and a gas. Oh, just kidding. Here's plasma. Oh, just kidding. Here's, carbon dioxide going super critical in these very specific conditions, which, for us living on Earth, it's like this very specific condition has to be met for, for liquid nitrogen, or not liquid nitrogen, but dry ice. Which I forgot what it's made of. Isn't it just pure, carbon dioxide? I think
Basically.
it's like frozen carbon dioxide, basically.
It's something.
That's what makes the fog so dangerous to just breathe in the fog. Because God forbid you touch dry ice, you'll die immediately.
And peaches are poison.
But I mean, you can take and actually have carbon dioxide go super critical in the right pressurized environment at the right temperature, which defies what we thought were the laws of the states of matter. We're consistently challenged on this. as we learn more and more through the scientific process. I mean, gravity was a theory, and in some respects, some of it still is a theory, and it's only a theory because we can't show you the proof. Or I say we, like we're the scientists. But we gravitational waves. We live in an era where scientists have looked and observed gravitational waves in the universe. They have seen the gravitational waves and feedback from the influence that the different celestial bodies have had on each other, and found out like, hey, Stephen Hawking, you were kind of fucking right. It's like a big fabric, and there's a bunch of like heavy things in different places, and they all affect each other.
Which also opens
incredible.
up the whole wormhole of gravity is a plane.
Yeah.
Not. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So you have this massive plane of gravity that we are just now barely taking a glimpse of. And now when you take the Wheel of Time world and you create an entity that is openly interacting with the physicality of the world, with people that live on the physical measurable space-time plane, that they themselves, by necessity of who they are, exist outside of that visible, measurable universe. I have no idea what that would look like. Would it look like just looking at an alternate universe?
I mean, here's an interesting bit with that, though, because in the Wheel of Time, they are already familiar with mirror universes or alternate universes. Is that the same wheel? Are they different wheels? Are they mirror universe all on one wheel? Okay. Rand, when he battles the Dark One directly, creates several universes, mirror universes. Cool.
I always thought of it as genjutsu. I always thought of it as like just visions of what a universe could be.
Well, it actually gets pretty detailed to him weaving thousands upon thousands upon thousands of threads. He takes
Still say
control
it's a genjutsu.
of the.
I'm not saying you're wrong or I'm right.
Okay, fine.
But it sounds like
but,
Tsukiyomi to me.
I mean, infinite Tsukiyomi.
I wish someone would infinite Tsukiyomi.
Jesus.
Had to bring it back to the core of what the Black Tower is. I agree with a couple of our patrons. Like, my brain actually hurts at this point. Like,
well, okay, so
which is
now that we've
fantastic.
actually done a lot of sort of foundation here, and I really do think that we have, because I'm not necessarily in this discussion asking you to actually tell me super definitively how the physics of your theory works necessarily. I just would like to hear your thoughts on what on the overarching, what do you think is at the beginning of the Wheel of Time? So I'll go first here, because I am absolutely one of the people who believes that one of the things that Robert Jordan was trying to do was make the allegory to God and the devil. And in our understanding of God and the devil, God is stronger than the devil. God made the devil, and therefore has a certain amount of control over what the devil is able to do. But he also wanted to give the world free will, and we, in some ways, blame Lucifer Morningstar all the time for causing us to do bad things.
The devil made me do it.
Right? And in the Wheel of Time, I actually very much feel like that was the intent of it. That before our understanding of time, outside of time, there was the creator and the dark one. And the creator was stronger than the dark one, which is why the dark one, who is malicious, and again, I guess in some ways, Josh might have the right of it, of just it's the embodiment of chaos. But that means that it was kind of trying to destroy the creator, because order tries to destroy chaos and chaos tries to destroy order, because that's the definition of what they are. If you have chaos, you're losing order, and if you have order, you're losing chaos. But that the Dark One was never strong enough to actually rid the outside of time of the creator, and the creator never wanted to rid the outside of time of the Dark One. So then the creator creates creation. And it knows that the Dark One has to still exist somewhere so that people have chaos in their lives, so that they can make the choice to sow chaos or order, so that they actually have the ability to make their own decisions at every turn of their life. And so the creator doesn't actually want the malicious entity or the active entity of the Dark One to weigh in on that. Therefore, the creator, sort of maybe on the edge of reality, as Andrew has stated before, I like that idea, makes it so that the Dark One can still exist outside of time all they want, that's fine, but they can't touch creation. They have this sort of shell around creation, or this single location that they can actually touch creation from, but the creator blocks that off from their ability to touch. So they're just kind of standing there, existing but not affecting. Andrew, go ahead.
I'm sure people have talked about this before, and I'm sure we've talked about it before too. But if this is the first time it's like actually sink into a logical mind for me, I apologize. What if our impressions that the creator and the Dark One are the good and the evil within line with each other? What if it's the opposite? What if the Dark One is imprisoned at the moment of creation because they are responsible for creation, and the Dark One shielding themselves off from the reality of the world? It blocks them off from the world, but by doing so traps the creator in a loop where they actually have an interaction continuously with creation, driving the wheel of time, and they're stuck in that. And the creator's efforts to create someone to go in and deal with the Dark One isn't in an effort to keep the Dark One from destroying creation, but rather an effort to set the creator free from their boundaries, or them being bound to creation by not being able to shield themselves before creation was created.
Interesting. I like the idea. I think it doesn't necessarily track with my reading of the book, but again, there's a lot of unreliable narrator in the book because nobody actually knows what the fuck is going on outside of time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning very heavily on
We're
that.
all supposed to agree on everything, and just
Hey, Josh,
this
shut
show's
your
just a
face.
big circle jerk. Okay.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing: like, if my theory is quote unquote right about, like, the Dark One is actually responsible for creation, whether intentional or unintentional or whatever, and everything else from there, you would necessarily have the side that can actively touch all of creation want you to think that the one entity that normally can't is horrible and the worst and whatever, and portray themselves as like the good side of things, the moral side of things.
Hold on.
That's actually...
That statement just kind of jogged something. Does the creator have the same access to reality as we know it that the Dark One does?
Well,
I don't
again,
think so.
presumably
Their power's
there are
being
two- well,
used up to create the turning.
That's
Sorry,
what I
go
was
ahead,
going to
Daniel.
say. Is there's the two prevailing theories, which is either the creator has access to the pattern and simply doesn't because it is a benevolent entity that has decided for itself, for one reason or another, not to touch the pattern, or the creator is actually gone now because either they used up themselves to make creation, or maybe Andrew, just sort of brought up a third one, if you will, that's mostly the same as the second one, which is that the creator can't touch the pattern because they're using all of their power to turn the wheel of time. And so even though they technically have the same access, they literally just don't have anything left
Oh, that means
after turning the wheel of time. But
If
that
they're-
means that presumably the creator has access and just doesn't use it. Whether it's because they don't or they can't is...
So the creator, if all
Who
of the
knows?
creator's essence is being used for the true source, for the one power, if that is the creator's
Mhm.
essence that creates the flowing of the wheel of time,
Sure.
and this causes the wheel to turn, they would have to have precognitive contact with the pattern, right? So as this force is turning the wheel, they would have to inlay an effect or a cause to then be experienced in the lace of ages as that weave they pull out goes through the pattern ahead of time. They would have to plan it out to come ahead of time. Because that would be the one moment where the true power comes in contact with the wheel of time, would be their one chance to input something into the pattern, into the lace of ages, to interact with the rest of the pattern, which also would lead credence to why they would input so much power and effort into the Taviran to bend the rest of the pattern around them to more effectively pull in their pre-laid beads along the pattern to a central point to get what they want done.
Not a bad theory.
And I've come away from this thinking that maybe the creator is not necessarily a good guy. I think the creator got caught off guard. I think the creator got caught, on the loo, shitting his pants in the outhouse when the
In the
quote-unquote
outhouse,
Dark One.
outside of time.
Yeah. I mean, because think about it, like, if you go off of morality, who benefits more from a creation with free will? The person that wants only good things to happen, or the person that wants chaos to reign? Like, if you're going off of pure
inherently
ideology.
the answer is chaos. Or, inherently the answer is chaos. Because again, if you take morality out of it in some ways, and you're just talking about the specific act of doing order or doing chaos, free will is antithesis to order. But at the same time, again, that suggests that free will is a byproduct, not the actual intent.
I think that's it. Because I think Flaming Sedai is right. It is a function of both. However, if you only want good things to happen, that happens without needing anything negative. Those good things still will naturally happen. Or if you only want bad things to happen, you only need the negative aspect to exist. I don't think it's so much about good versus bad. I think, like Josh was saying earlier, it is chaos versus order. In an existence between the creator and the dark one, where there is no space-time, you by nature have neither, or you have order. You can only have chaos whenever something exists tangibly to enact some sort of unpredictability into existence, whether it's inside or outside of space-time. So with that, only the perceived Dark One, as we read it in the series, benefits from the existence of creation.
No, I fundamentally disagree with that, only because of this. Only because neither side actually benefits from free will. They are equally opposed to the idea of free will unless it's a philosophical construct. Because again, unless you're letting order make everything, then order is going to not like free will. Unless you're letting chaos
1984.
make everything, then chaos doesn't benefit from free will. And this is the problem, that unless it's a morality thing, each side would just want to go ahead and make only order or only chaos. But free will doesn't mean just order or just chaos. It means the middle.
Well, morality is
And
outside of the
basic.
equation. Because
And
morality is just a
remember-
collective agreed upon whether they want this or that more than the other. It's not about
Yes.
morality. It's about chaos and order purely.
Well,
So if
but
you have
again,
two entities,
But
well,
it
if you have
has
two
to be a
entities
question of
that are-
morality, because if
No, it
those
doesn't.
two entities don't want the other one, then neither of them would make free will at all. That's what I'm saying, is that
well, it's
it
just a
has to be
question
a
of opposition.
philosophical. What do you mean by that?
The morality doesn't necessarily have to exist. If you have two entities that exist outside of space-time, they only need to oppose each other. It doesn't have to be a moral reason. It doesn't have to be a
Well,
philosophical
no.
reason.
But when you add creation into it, is really what I'm saying. Neither entity actually has any benefit from making creation unless they're the one who can actually dictate everything. Because
I
if
think
order makes creation only having order, chaos gets completely screwed. If chaos makes creation using only chaos, order gets completely screwed. It's only in this middle ground that they would make creation at all if their only desire was all order or all chaos. So again, free will actually equally benefits and equally detracts from order and from chaos. And so
I
unless they decided together, or one of them didn't actually fully care about order or chaos, there is no inherent reason that either of them would make creation at all, or let the other one make creation at all, without actually coming to an agreement in the middle of, we need to have something that benefits one or the other of us.
so. That presumes that the two extremes naturally pursue a state of equilibrium, which I don't think they would. I think that free will is an inherent agent of chaos. Because if you were an inherent agent of order, then you only need things to go from point A to point B to point A to point B.
Well,
You don't
except that-
allow for detraction in between those points. You don't need
well,
free
but
will.
if you
in
only
chaos.
want chaos, then
Or in order.
allowing people to choose order is also counter to your.
But
to
it
your
creates
plan.
chaos with the individuals that choose chaos.
But it creates order
By-
with the ones who choose
So-
order.
So
yeah,
we're-
with the
we're
individuals that
actually-
choose order, but by them choosing order, they will inherently create conflict and chaos with the individuals who create chaos.
So we're actually dancing around something.
If
that
you
I
have
think
if
is
you have
actually
two people
really-
or four people, and two people choose to be in order with each other, and the other two people choose to operate off of chaos and do whatever they want, they are going to naturally come in conflict with the two that choose order, and by product create chaos or disorder.
So
You
here's the
cannot
thing.
have pure order in an environment where any form of chaos exists. Period.
We're actually dancing around something
As
that is
I
actually
think, obviously.
very.
I hear that, and I'm hearing what you're saying, and there's obviously a solid kernel of truth in that. I just don't really.
I mean, to have
You
pure
actually
chaos or
have to
pure
be a
order,
you actually have to have a small enough area or a large enough group of people to actually make that always be true. Because if the people who want order can separate from the people who want chaos, they don't actually have to be affected by chaos. The only way that you actually must have chaos is if the people who are choosing chaos are actively going after the people who want order.
Well, them existing in the same plane innately creates some degree of chaos. Because the only way to ensure
they
that
have
the
free
individuals that
choice.
pursue order avoid chaos is by them actively being aware of chaos and taking measures to avoid chaos. Which is going to fundamentally create an alteration in their methodology and how they live and orchestrate themselves. And eventually, at some inevitable point, they're no longer going to be able, on a finite plane, they're no longer going to be able to outrun the ages of chaos. Because the ages of chaos are going to infinitely sporadically expand.
Presumably, but I don't actually think that that is a must given free will, because of course there are people who are going to choose chaos for themselves and then see benefits to order and go over to the other side. There are also going to be people who see order and go, this isn't working for me, and go over to chaos. But that doesn't actually mean that chaos will always win. It just means that chaos will always
And that's what
be
Moradin
present.
thought.
Yes.
Eventually, chaos will
Yes.
win.
Correct.
Therefore,
Well, I'm not saying that
chaos.
one wins or fails. A philosophy of order means that A will always equal B. That is a philosophy
Yes.
for A equals B, C equals D, E equals
Everything
F.
in its place.
Everything
mise en
has
place.
a cause and effect. Unaffected will always be the same thing. Chaos, by its very nature, introduces a detraction from that. That A doesn't always equal B. Sometimes A equals B dot C. Sometimes A equals B dot D. In the very nature of anything chaotic in the same sphere of influence or same sphere period of existence where order exists will always create an interference with order at some inevitable point in the future. Whether it is now A equals B if A point B, A point C, A point D are met. Whenever chaos is introduced into faction, is even allowed to exist in the same sphere as order, there will always be a detraction from pure order. Chaos will not always
but
win,
as long
but
as
will always have an
someone is
influence.
attempting order, that means that chaos will never actually reign.
So
That's the thing.
Here's
It's
the
not
thing.
about reigning; it's about both influencing each other.
Right.
They will both naturally
jump in here
resist
real
each
quick.
other.
Let me jump in here real quick.
Correct.
Because we're talking around an idea here that is actually illustrated in great detail in the books.
Okay.
Rand, when he's squaring off against the Dark One, says, I'm going to create a reality in which you do not exist.
Sure.
In which you have absolutely no influence on people.
Reality
you
of pure
do not
order.
exist. Reality is pure order. He goes in, he sees everybody's happy, everything is beautiful, there's love, there's peace, there's love, there's peace, but everyone's dead inside.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Jokes on Robert Jordan. I've always been dead inside.
Welcome to my life. So anyway, I'm on the Black Tower. No, just kidding.
Anyway, I started blasting.
What a lot of people probably don't
here's Wonderwall.
realize or add to is we do actually get an example of people who
chaos.
exist outside the influence of the creator as well.
Yes.
People at the Black Tower who are forcefully turned to the shadow have the exact same description as everyone who exists in Rand's Dark One free zone.
Yep.
Now, this is where Daniel and Andrew, you both, I think you both have valid points on this. And I think you both have, and I'm going to be the bridge builder between the two of you, because while I agree, I know, right? While I
need no
agree that
bridge.
Order is a specific way and chaos is a specific way. If you have, let's talk about order in scientific terms in real life. The most stable bit of order that we have in matter is a crystal. That's why it's a crystal. It's a crystal because the atoms settle at their most organized, most base layers and create. And the diamonds are said to be the best of the crystals because it's just carbon that is perfectly organized. Well, almost perfectly organized.
Yeah.
But
It's like cubic zirconia does a lot better being perfectly organized.
if we existed in perfect order, right, everything would be crystallized in place. You'd have a 1984 situation in which children come out for exactly 10 minutes every day, bounce their ball at the same time, exactly 20 times, stand there, and then go back in the house. And if there's any deviancy from that order, now we've got problems. Which
Equilibrium.
the thing that I love, well, Equilibrium is another great example of that, which wasn't a fantastic movie. If you've not seen,
okay, I was about to say, it's like I'm assuming you're referencing a movie.
Sorry,
well,
yes.
I was
it was a
I-
because
Christian
that-
Bale movie. He
Oh,
was
okay.
Yeah,
referencing
it
the
was
book.
amazing.
I then referenced the movie. Yeah.
So then
We all know I'm bad with movies.
then you know, we've talked about morality and benevolence. I'm sorry, order is not benevolent. You forcing everybody to do exactly what they're supposed to do at the right exact time is not benevolent.
Well,
so
by
there
necessity, they
needs to
can't be
be-
benevolent or moral. Either
There
one.
needs to be an element of and transversely, if you go over to chaos and say only chaos rules, no order whatsoever, it's all just chaos. Now what do you have? Absolutely nothing. You have primordial ooze that never accomplishes anything, that never crawls out onto the earth. You never have anything evolving. You never have anything learning. You never have anything building. Because what you
I was
have
just
gonna
fine
say,
with
you
me, 'cause
actually
look at
do
where we are
have
now.
stuff evolve, but you don't have
how?
learning.
If evolution is the process by which an organism adds complexity to its makeup, you can only do that with order. Evolution is
That spits in the face of chaos
process
theory.
of order. Well,
I actually disagree with. I think that you can't have structured evolution without that. But if evolution at its base is actually just survival of the fittest, which is chaos.
Yeah. I'm on Daniel's side. The structured evolution can barely be called evolution. It's
But-
just natural
okay.
progression.
but point
Evolution
being,
by necessity is adapting to chaotic elements that
Yes,
force you to alter
exactly.
to adapt.
but
So
there's
you
order
can't-
in that. There's order in that. With
Well, I
pure
mean, that's-
chaos, you just die.
Well,
You
that's
don't
the
evolve.
thing.
You
That's
don't
the
build
ultimate
anything.
argument. In a universe where both chaos and order exist, you can find order in the chaos, but you also must find chaos in the order.
And there's
Yes.
death and
That's where you
life.
have chaotic element
Death
insert
sustains life.
followed
Life
by
sustains death.
okay, well, if insert exists, then this is the natural progression. I think
You know
we
what I love most
all.
about this conversation?
I
We
think
just
all
come
three of
right
us have
back to the
agreed.
Wheel of Time.
Right?
I think all three of us have agreed from the beginning that like you can't have one in the story without the other. Like none of the events in the story make sense.
Order
Without
and
elements and agents of chaos.
Order and chaos
Yeah.
go together like a horse and carriage. This I tell you, brother, you can't have one without the other.
Glad you got that off your chest.
I
Proud of
did.
you.
It's,
I'm happy for you.
we had to break into song at some point in time. Oh
Of
my
course.
god! Okay, this final thought.
This has gone-
Let's do this. Let's wrap this up in a nice, neat bow. Someone go for it.
I don't think it exists for this topic.
I'll take a stab at it. The answer is we didn't
Hashtag steady
actually.
stab, threefold top.
Right? I think that we actually did the foundations of this episode, is really what I think happened. I think that we didn't actually answer any questions, though I'm not sure we will ever actually answer any questions, and that's okay. It wasn't necessarily set up to answer questions. It was to learn a little bit about each other, to learn a little bit about the Wheel of Time, to learn a little bit about our Patreons, and to everybody walk
A
away.
little bit of Monica in my life.
Yep. And everybody to walk away with a little bit more information and a little bit more appreciation for this series that Robert Jordan gave us. That being said, I'm the only one who ever actually got a theory out. So I think that we should actually say we did a lot of foundation here. Sorry, I apologize.
That's true. I got a theory out. Hold on.
That's what I was going to say. That was what I was going to say. I
out.
got a trying to be succinct theory out with sort of most of its parts set up rather than coming up with a theory that's really fucking cool, Andrew, but not necessarily stated in a way that's easily followed, if that makes sense. So I
don't
think
know. I don't know how it's hard to follow mine, but all right. I'll make my argument on my turn.
Whatever. Anyway, yeah.
Well, what I'm going to say is I feel like this was a really good foundational episode. I think that we actually sort of learned a lot about each other and thought about some different things than we had heard before or thought about before. And I think that this should be to be continued on another episode at some point, that we can just bring in other stuff in after we've talked about a few more characters, after we've talked about a few more metaphysics, after we find out from all of our patrons, or really just listeners in general, all of the things that we got wrong. And we can go ahead and revisit this once we've had a little bit more time to chew and a little bit more time to go ahead and discuss. So my final thoughts are definitely that this should be another episode where we actually come back to, because I love this discussion and I love these different talks about sort of what can be true, what has to be true, why does it have to be true, why can it be true, all of that different stuff. It's great. And I would say that we should do this again sometime.
Maybe next Tuesday.
I don't know about next Tuesday.
Probably not next Tuesday, but a next Tuesday, but not.
There we
next
go.
Tuesday.
A next Tuesday.
Yeah.
I will
turning of the
gladly
Tuesday.
pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Yeah. So my theory, the one not having a whole bunch of fleshy, or not fleshy, but fancy and shimmering talking points, but unimaginably easy to understand, is just inverting what we already know, because that's the easiest theory to have about anything. Well, what you know, but just in reverse.
Now Andrew's just throwing out big words.
Big words for really simple theories. It's a habit I have from writing EPRs in the Air Force. The only theory I did in fact propose was that the creator was actually the bad guy, and the bad guy was actually the good guy in the Wheel of Time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not that revolutionary of a theory. So Daniel, kudos to you. You did a lot better job bringing forth the theory. I mean, I laid out how it doesn't take a lot
That's fair.
to make up how it would happen. Any good person that needs, or any evil person that needs the compliance of its citizenry to accomplish evil goals will try to convince its citizenry that they are the good goal. And that is the truth of all empires throughout human history. And I believe that's also the truth of the Wheel of Time.
Including entities that aren't human.
I just realized I was
Sure.
referencing A Wrinkle in Time, not 1984. I'm an idiot. Sorry.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
you know, it is what it is.
Point of
Um,
clarification.
Indeed. But all right.
But-
yes.
but
this
there's
has
always
been fascinating.
the inherent problem of trying to understand things that are necessarily by virtue of current scientific understanding outside of human reasoning by using human reasoning. So that does exist. And it's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to talk about this kind of stuff.
It has.
And that's my final thought. It's been a lot of fun. Go ahead, Josh.
My final thoughts on this is, first off, I love how chewy this topic is. I love how you can just bite in, sink down, and suck the marrow out of this subject and never get enough.
Oh yeah.
Never. Absolutely never. Because this is one of the topics that makes the Wheel of Time so amazing. Because it's one of the topics that seamlessly translates into our own world. anybody anywhere will tell you straight up, you can't have all order. You can't have all chaos.
Well, we can.
Eastern traditions have said for thousands of years, they've got yin and yang for this very purpose. That's exactly what it is. There's stillness in motion. There's motion in stillness. There's all these concepts, these ideas that seem very contradictory, but play very well together. Not only do they play very well together, they kind of need each other. And chaos and order, I feel like, are two forces, two things that need. God damn it.
Continue.
They're two things, they're two sides of the same coin. And we see this again and again and again throughout life. There is no love without hate. There is no happiness without sadness. These things are opposite yet interlinked. And so for us to have a conversation about the relationship of the Dark One and the Creator, their influence on creation, where this all began, and we come to the same conclusion. We come to the conclusion that we had at the beginning of the show, which is,
look at this photograph.
Every time I do it makes me.
But I feel like we have a deeper appreciation for those forces in.
Every time I do it makes me crazy.
So the next time you're feeling sad, just remember that you're only a coin flip away from happiness.
There you go.
So
I like that.
Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thanks for being here. I kind of gave myself some feels right there. You guys are awesome. I really do appreciate having you here. Appreciate you listening. Go to blacktowerpod.com/TGM. You're going to see some information about the Gathering Madness. From all of us here at the Black Tower, I hope you've enjoyed this weekly dose of taint. And I hope you are just a little bit more insane than you were when you first tuned in.
I hope that you are a little bit Monica in my life. Wait, hang on.
Holy shit, this webpage still exists from last year. Oh, sorry. Oh, and I hope you've really enjoyed your time here. I'm not going to lie. Being gone for 2 weeks and coming back to this, I told the guys before this, I feel like I was like, what the hell happened in the Wheel of Time? It was a very long vacation. It was a very needed kind of vacation and work time. But I'm glad to be back. I look forward to chatting with everyone. I look forward to the Gathering Madness as I do every year, especially this year since it's not where I live and I don't have to deal with opening doors and shit. What's my name? I forgot. Who am I? Where am I? I'm going to claim dementia for everything. But it's been fantastic. It's been great being back. And I've been your Baishan Mahel Andrew.
And I have been your Amin Khan Mahale Daniel. And again, from everyone here at the Black Tower, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening, whether you are listening live as a patron, whether you're listening as soon as this episode comes out on Friday, or if you're listening to this 3 years down the road and you just finished the Wheel of Time, the book series, and you want to chow down on some other topics. We are super glad that you are here. We want to say a huge thank you to you, and we hope that you're having a lovely morning, and in case we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening.
Always running the show.
In the tower, you can bring your pain. In the tower, you can feel the strain.
You've been having so much trouble just fitting